We're here to discuss what happened to peptides over the last week or so. Arman, you and I have been using peptides for several years. Peptide therapy has been a major part of this industry, about hormone therapy, about regenerative medicine, anti-aging for years, even decades. Some of these peptides were found in the 80s, right?
Yeah, even earlier, 40s. Thymosin alpha, like 1940s, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. So the FDA recently passed some regulations basically banning the raw material of these peptides and basically ceased compounding with almost no notice.
Right.
So all of our compounding pharmacies basically have been sending us letters, hey, we have 30 to 45 days of supply left, and then we're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Why, from a scientific standpoint, because you're a biochem guy, you know, your master's in biochemistry, so why are these peptides being banned? What is so dangerous about them? Why is the FDA going after them?
Yeah, so I looked at the document that stated it. So basically they are put on the category 2 bulk list, meaning that a compounding pharmacy, if they choose to continue to compound it, they'll lose their license. Even if they purchase the raw materials, they can lose their license. The reasoning for pretty much all of the peptides is something like immunogenicity, meaning that because of the certain route of administration, maybe an injection, the person can have an immune response that may or may not be life-threatening or have some adverse reaction, and that there's just lack of safety information regarding peptides in humans. There's a lot of studies in rats and other animals, but in humans we have pretty much a lot of anecdotal evidence that they work, and they work very well. And this might be like a scapegoat for a reason to ban them, but this is pretty much every single peptide on the list has that. Some of them do have very specific reasons, and not every, with all medical treatments there are risks. Not only are they saying we don't have the information, they're making it harder to gather the information because the FDA itself, no one's going to fund those safety trials, and they're making it harder for anyone that wants to do the safety trials. They're restricting them so that they can't get those trials, get the information, the evidence to suggest that this should be used in humans.
So here's my big problem with big pharma, with big medicine, with the FDA. When they start going after medicines like this, and I personally know these peptides work. I know I have taken BPC 157, I've taken Duo Blend, Ipamorelin, CJC 1295, I've taken Tesamorelin, I've taken pretty much every peptide you can think of. Thymosin alpha got basically on the do not compound list during the pandemic because they were using it as an antiviral to treat the virus. Why did they ban it? Why did they get rid of it? Because it worked. Yeah, because it worked, because it was an actual treatment and it was actually working, and it's something that's not controlled by the big umbrella. When I hear you telling me like, yeah, there's these little issues and stuff like that, like, is it actually about safety? From your personal perspective, is it actually about safety, or is it more about control of medicine?
No, it's definitely controlled medicine. So everything has, safety issues. There's definitely high risk with a lot of the big medications out there. I always go back to a lot of the anti-hypertensive drugs. A lot of them can have serious side effects that can actually lead to diabetes, which can even make the issue worse and bring about cardiovascular disease. Nothing is free of adverse reactions or side effects or consequences.
You can die from overdosing on a multivitamin.
Exactly.
You can die from overdosing on aspirin, on ibuprofen.
Anything. And even some of these peptides, you can definitely take a lot of it and seems like nothing can happen because a lot of them are derivatives of what we produce naturally. BPC is derived from a peptide that's in every gut of every mammal. So
that's my question. How can they ban something? BPC 157, we've referred to it as the Wolverine peptide. You guys are geeks like us. We watch X-Men. Wolverine can heal himself, naturally, supernaturally, right? So this peptide will target tissue damage and things like that, ligaments and even muscle damage, and it'll repair it, right?
Yeah.
So this is naturally occurring in our body, in our gut. How can they ban that? How can they say that's not able to be used by humans? It doesn't make sense to me.
It's just, they're the rule makers, and there's no one else to say, hey, you can't do that but us, the people. And so we have to use our voices. We have to, take action. And even if we take action, it's going to take 2, 3, maybe more years until possibly peptides come back.
Sure.
And again, is it about safety? I really don't think so. A lot of these peptides, you can't patent them because they are what we call natural products. And if you can't patent them, you can't make money off them as a pharmaceutical company. And when it comes to the patient's best interest versus the money, that brings on a whole other discussion on what's more important.
You're going right down my avenue of what big pharma is, what big medicine is. It's profit over health.
Absolutely.
Every single time. It didn't used to be like that. It used to be more about healthcare. I think that we are doing a different level of healthcare at Aspire Rejuvenation clinics and other clinics that are like us. And we're looking at a holistic method. We're looking at actually solving problems. And peptides are a huge part of this. So this is a huge blow to the entire industry. And it's a blow to medical health freedom. People are no longer now free to use these peptides so they can actually be healthy and not be on these, I hate to say it, big pharma drugs that cause a myriad of other side effects.
Yeah, and it brings on the discussion like, what else can they do? Maybe one day they can tell us what we can and can't eat. We're already seeing this with what they're pushing the agendas for, different, foods, like red meat and all these other things, and there's all these fad diets and all that, but I really just believe in, eat a balanced diet of whole foods. You don't have to do nothing crazy, but there's a lot of different agendas out there. There's a lot of rhetoric out there that's telling people they have to do this or that. Even like the food pyramids back in the day, that's FDA, right? And me personally, I love medicine. I love science, pharmacology. That's what my master's is in. That's why I study the things I study. And for me, it's a letdown to humanity because medicine in general, we're getting to like a standstill. So we have, since, we can talk about like aspirin is one of the first blockbuster drugs. It's a small molecule drug, meaning it's definitely not a natural product. It's derived from, nature, but it's nothing that the body produces. So you take that basically like a pill. You take a pill, it modifies the physiology of our body to change the response. Same thing with like an NSAID to lower fever. Fever is a natural response. It's a defense mechanism, but we're just inhibiting that so that the patient feels better, essentially. Yeah,
it has some comfort.
Right. So there's only so many small molecule drugs you can make. There's only so many molecular structures that actually do something in the body. The next step is biologics. Biologics that are peptides or these organic compounds. Even the biggest ones right now is Humira. Humira is for autoimmune disorders, various autoimmune disorders. Makes a ton of money, and that's the future. Semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, that's a peptide that was patented. So that is the future. These medications that have the most effect, that are, causing so much craze, those are biologics. So to just limit how far we can go into that direction is, for me, it's very disappointing. And it really hurts my heart to hear that.
So with how these peptides are not being regulated, is this a push to now get these items patented? Is this is this a step where some big pharma company is going to say, okay, well, we patented this. Can they patent BPC 157? Can they patent ipamorelin, CJC? Can they go into and say, now we can patent biologics? Is that just a legal thing?
I want to say, and I want to hope, deep down, I want to hope that that's the case.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it is, because there's money to be made when you don't use these peptides.
Sure.
If I can use BPC 157, and I have literally done this, I've avoided a shoulder surgery, I've avoided a knee surgery with BPC 157. If I don't have to do all these different surgeries or other medical treatments, if I can take a peptide, say that increases growth hormone, ipamorelin, CJC, improve my body composition, recover from exercise better, reduce my pain so that I don't have to be on antihypertensives or diabetes medication.
Band-aid drugs?
Band-aid drugs, like you talked about. How much money are these pharmaceutical companies making on the new peptide that they could patent versus the shit tons of drugs that they could give to these people to Band-aid it, that they'll have to be on them for the rest of their life? You can take a peptide and stop, and then you're okay. You don't have to take it again. You don't have to take it forever.
Well, yeah, but if you get a shoulder surgery, what do you have to take? You're taking NSAIDs, you're taking all kinds of anti-inflammatories, all kinds of pain pills, because you're going to have surgery.
You might still need to get, corticosteroid shots for years. And then deteriorate the tissues further later on.
Which will cause more surgery.
Another surgery. Then you got a shoulder replacement. Then you're miserable, and then you're 6 feet under.
Yep.
By that time, you know. So.
Yeah. So again, this is the difference between the models of what regenerative medicine is, what we do at our clinic, and what the difference is between mainstream medicine.
Yeah.
Mainstream medicine, really not about healing problems, really not about solving problems, it seems anymore. They really care more about profit. They don't give a shit about you. Like for you watch, they don't care. They don't care really if you're healthy. If you really think about it, they care that you are a paying customer and you are a long-time paying customer. There is theories out there that there are cancer preventatives and even things that will completely cure cancer. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there's stuff out there, and there's been studies out there. These doctors and these scientists have mysteriously died. You know what I mean? I mean, we're getting into some weeds here, but where is the real money being made? It's not in the cure, it's in the treatment.
No.
They don't want you to cure your problem, which is what these peptides are doing. They're curing multiple issues. Just like we talk about hormone therapy, cures multiple ailments. Is that a next step for the FDA and for Big Pharma to go after? Are they going to go after bioidentical hormones? This is my fear of where medicine can possibly go.
Yeah, that's actually very frightening because, not only have peptides helped me, hormone optimization has been very helpful for myself. For many patients that I know, it's been life-changing. I see some of these patients at the gym, around town, they look like completely different people. And they've been able to get off of all of these, small molecule drugs, all of these Band-Aid drugs. And we're really at the point where, maybe years ago that would have sounded insane for them to do that, but it's becoming a reality.
Yeah.
And it's very frightening.
Yeah. Where's the next step? I mean, I know there's some action being taken. Where's the next step you think from a scientific, from a medical standpoint, because you're in this space, right? I'm an entrepreneur. You are really in this pharmacology, this medical space, more so than I am. I know the legal side of it. There are lawsuits being filed. There are doctors that are going after the FDA, going after the regulatory boards. I will be honest with everybody, this usually ends up poorly. Many people do not win against the FDA, but there are organizations that are doing it. SavePeptides.org is one. You can go sign a petition and you can go and make your voice heard. I know they are trying to get, I think 1 million signatures to go after this and to put it in front of Congress. And it's going to be really important that as a people, we are saying we want our medical freedom. We want these drugs available to us. We want to be able to take our health in our own hands and control our destiny in our health in that way. But from a medical side, where are we going from here? What can we be helped with? I know there's some peptides that are still around, but with them getting rid of basically the entire industry, what's the next step here?
I mean, it really comes down to educating people about it, making it easy for them to understand, breaking down the literature so people understand it, so they can get excited about it. And just, through universities or your independent studies, like people continuing to study these peptides or, anything related to peptides in potentially, rats, but potentially humans, and just, hope some of them might get a patent. I'll never give up on science. I'll never give up on medicine. It really just comes down to, what research can we do? Who can we get to fund? We need to bring together like-minded people, and we need to, bring together entrepreneurs, people who have the resources, the funding. This is going to be an international thing too, because the laws are different outside the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
We know that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're looking into that and get the research maybe out there and just make this has to be a global effort because, global health is a very big thing to me and it should be to everyone. And those are the next steps. So just making this, a group effort, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, in summary, I want everybody watching to understand that you do have a choice in how you get your healthcare. You do have a choice in how you behave in the healthcare marketplace. You have control. Unfortunately, we are being limited, as you can see. The FDA is limiting your options, it's limiting your choices, which we are very much against. As individuals, as a company, as an industry, I have spoken to many people in the industry, and we all want to band together and we all want to go after this because we know that these drugs actually help people. They actually work. We can talk about anecdotal evidence, we can talk about what studies are being done. The reason studies aren't being done at a large extent is because the FDA didn't allow it. Is because they were limiting the amount of studies happening.
Yeah.
But there were studies here locally in Florida, even on BPC 157, one that is now gone. They were studying it for regeneration of tissue post rotator cuff surgery. Why is that not being looked at as a real possibility for a drug? It's gone now, the study can't be happening.
No, yeah, and a lot of these papers, great evidence, and it's just like, once you have these papers, a lot of them get reproduce an experiment, get the same evidence, and then can we move that onto a different model? You know, maybe we did it in just like a cell culture, then we do it in animal, then we did it in humans. Why did it not go from animal to human? And that's the big question. And I think we all kind of know the answer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we know the powers that be do not want these items to really be out there, these items that actually work, these drugs that actually work. We're going to push against it. We hope that everybody here watching, everybody here shares this, everybody, you know, follows us, subscribes to us, let us put this information out there. We want you to share this information with as many people as possible so we can get this news out there, so you can be more informed, everybody you know can be more informed, and we can take real legal and human action against what we see as a medical atrocity. So please, please, please share this stuff. We want to spread this information. Again, savepeptides.org. We are trying to do a collaboration with them, and we want to push this information out there so we can really make a change and stop this from happening with more drugs and maybe even save the peptide industry in the process.
Absolutely.